How did you catch your partner cheating? Story 1.
My story is something out of Black Mirror. Girlfriend of 6 years went out of town with a couple of her girlfriends for a weekend. I decided to check her Facebook profile to see if she posted any new pics or whatever and noticed that this one guy liked almost every status she posted. He never commented. I was just curious who he was because she never mentioned him. His profile was mostly private, but he had a couple pictures and statuses that I could view. Just figured it was a classmate or something, she's in law school, until I scrolled upon a picture that stood out. It was a pic of his parked car that a hit-and-run driver smacked into overnight while street parked. I almost kept scrolling when something hit me. The background of picture gave me a weird feeling. His car was parked on the street that I recognized because of the brick roads that we have downtown. Upon closer inspection, the reason I recognized it was because it was right outside my girlfriend's house. When she got back, I talked to her about it. Of course, she at first came up with a bullshit story about how some friends from school crashed at her place because she lives near downtown and they couldn't drive. I'm not an idiot though, because I know she'd tell me if somebody hit her friend's car outside her house. Eventually she broke down and confessed she'd been cheating for a year. It turned my life inside out. We had plans to move in a week after I found out, and I was going to propose on our anniversary a few weeks after that. I noped the fuck out of the relationship, even though she is still begging to this day for forgiveness. It's just so weird because of the coincidence I came across this pic, that the pic was even public, and the fact that if the picture was taken a foot closer to the damage, I'd have never known. I just got such a weird feeling from the small amount details I could make out in the background. TLDR, Black Mirror, stumbled across a picture of her friend's damaged car, recognized it was outside her house, confront her and the truth comes.
Story 2.
I had surgery on my testicles due to a possible tumor. It wound up being benign, so I'm recovering that evening in bed. My girlfriend long distance visited me to take care of me. All is going great, except for my balls hurting and my wearing of a diaper. But hey, I had just come back from Afghanistan, so life was still pretty sweet. My girlfriend offers to make me some food. Sweet, so she asks me to look up a recipe on my phone. I can't find my phone, so she tosses me hers. Well, let me tell you. In the midst of me looking up a great chicken cordon bleu recipe, a message from my friend Ryan flashes across the top of the screen. I can't make it out, but it looks an awful lot like a dick. I'm like, oh Ryan, what are you giving a hard time to my girlfriend about? So I clicked the message, if only to relay what I presumed was a joke to her. Well, let me tell you, joke was on me. Those two had been going to Bonetown, USA while I was deployed. They talked about me being gone as a sexcation. My girlfriend asks if I found anything good. I'm like, oh hell yeah. Now, I show her the texts. She denies anything happened. Which is, well dumb. So me being a man of dignity, kick her out of the apartment and send her on her way to Georgia, wearing adult diapers. I kicked a bitch out of my place. Honestly, I just wish I had found out after I had eaten some cordon bleu.
Story 3.
My girlfriend started working with and talking about this girl, and inviting the girl and her GF to go to dinner with us. We went on a double date with this couple a few times over the course of 3 weeks, and I noticed every time we were all four out, my girlfriend would drink much more heavily than usual. We were having them over for dinner one Sunday but had an adult sports game before, which usually involved light drinking, and she was acting super weird about making sure we were home on time and had dinner ready, etc. That night, after they left, she passed out on the couch next to me. Her Apple Watch buzzed and I glanced over and saw a selfie of this girl. Which was enough to get me to look at her phone, for the first time ever, where I find texts with sexting and details about their hookup. I took screenshots of all of it and sent it to my phone. I got dressed, texted a friend, packed a backpack, and woke her up by throwing her phone, with those messages open, at her and walking out the door. She groggily sorted it all out and attempted to contact me all night and eventually texted the other girl's GF those screenshots, which I thought was pretty shitty. Sort of an, if I'm going down, you're going down with me.
Story 4.
My girlfriend started working with and talking about this girl, and inviting the girl and her GF to go to dinner with us. We went on a double date with this couple a few times over the course of 3 weeks, and I noticed Every time we were all four out, my girlfriend would drink much more heavily than usual. We were having them over for dinner one Sunday, but had an adult sports game before, which usually involved like my ex-wife, and I went up to Big Bear to go snowboarding and spent some time together. We were having issues and I thought it'd be fun to get away and do something fun together. Let's just say it did not go well. She said she grew up snowboarding but she never made it down a hill and had a terrible time. So we went back to the cabin and she was pretty much just on her phone, not talking to me. We make it back and she says she needs to just shower and be alone for a bit. She goes off and I just hang in the den. She left her phone in her purse and it just kept buzzing. So I checked it out because what if someone was trying to reach us or something? I opened it up to read a full conversation between her and this guy. It wasn't good. I read how the day's texts started and they started really early in the morning. Hope you're doing okay up there. We'll see. Doubt it. He's trying too hard. He should just know it really doesn't matter. Wish I was up here with you instead. A pic of her. Just the worst stuff. And that was before I even woke up. I was pretty devastated and really didn't know what to do. I knew I didn't want to fight because I realized she wasn't worth fighting for. Grabbed my bag and drove back to San Diego. I took her phone with me so I could text him and tell him we're coming home early. Let's meet. I ended up inviting him to a coffee shop and waited for him to show up. When he walked through the door, he saw me immediately and kind of stopped. I waved him over and wasn't too far from the door, so I told him we need to talk. He comes over and already front loads with it. It's not what you think. Blah blah bullshit. I told him that he wants her. He can take his sorry ass to Big Bear and go get her. Because I was leaving and we're through. See you when we sign the papers, and I left. Second worst day of my life, but I'm glad it happened. Met my lady 3 years later and have now been together for 4 years and now engaged. I don't know if you asked this because you yourself are going through this and need comfort and to know what to do. But I hope this is just a hypothetical question, and if not, there are better partners out there for us. You just need to let life introduce you to them. And she was acting super weird about making sure we were home on time and had dinner ready, etc. That night, after they left, she passed out on the couch next to me. Her Apple Watch buzzed and I glanced over and saw a selfie of this girl, which was enough to get me to look at her phone for the first time ever, where I find texts with sexting and details about their hookup. I took screenshots of all of it and sent it to my phone. I got dressed, texted a friend, packed a backpack, and woke her up by throwing her phone with those messages open at her and walking out the door. She groggily sorted it all out and attempted to contact me all night, and eventually texted the other girls GF those screenshots, which I thought was pretty shitty. Sort of an if I'm going down, you're going down with me.
Story 5.
I have a tendency to follow my gut feeling. Also, don't be creepy on Facebook. Don't sleep with hookers in Europe. Don't ruin my Christmas. And fuck you, Coley. So much secrecy from the beginning. He'd tell me he wanted some nights to himself, that he just needs a few nights a week to himself. No big deal at all. He shows me a text from his mom and I instinctively hit back, and there's literally no other texts. He says he just deletes them because of space issues. I found a pair of underwear in his laundry room that wasn't mine and I freaked. He said they were his ex's and he was using them to poly-sh his drum cymbals. At this point, my gut kicks in and tells me to look. Christmas fucking day, I wake up in a panic. I just have this horrible feeling. It's like 3 a.m. I go upstairs and look at his phone. There's no notifications. I'm wondering how to break into an iPhone. I don't know how to explain it. I just had this horrible gut feeling, like he was doing something fucked up. Then I remembered his debit card PIN number, which he gave me. Bam. Opened up Messenger and saw literally hundreds of messages from him to every single girl on his friends list, hitting on them, setting up dates, getting nudes from them, talking dirty. Saw messages to his friends talking shit on me, how he didn't really love me, making bets to see how many people he can sleep with behind my back, telling them how many women he's sleeping with. I went to the beginning of our relationship and counted at least 3 or 4 women that I could confirm he slept with. And around 50 to 75 women he was creepily hitting on within the last 2 months, before Christmas, sometimes while I was with him. I freak out on him after 3 hours of looking through his shit. He gives a lot of excuses. I'm just pissed. We still went to my parents' Christmas dinner together. I had a miscarriage a few weeks later, and shortly after that I broke up with him. I'm a weak-ass bitch, so we begin dating again a few months later. But again, even with all his promises, couples counseling, everything, I just still have this feeling like shit is still fucked. So I look again, and again, he's messaging girls creepy shit, made a bet with a friend to see how long he could be faithful to me. So I go home, log into his messenger, and expose his bullshit to all the girls he slept with, every girl he was messaging and dating on the side, just really blow up his spot. We were together for around 8 months. I tried to date again, but I just feel like everyone will do what he did. I lost trust and faith in everyone, regardless of their relationship with me. I don't really have any friends anymore. I know that I made a huge mistake continuing to date a cheater, then dating him again. But I loved him, and I still do. It's hard to explain. I almost feel like he has a compulsion to cheat and sleep with as many women as possible. I feel bad for him. But I feel a lot worse when I think about being anywhere in
Story 6.
I've been cheated on 3 times. Twice by the same girl, all when I was in the military. The first time I was at my duty station maybe a month and I got a call from my girlfriend who said she was going to sleep over at a mutual friend's house. I didn't buy it for a second and figured she was driving down to San Diego, from Los Angeles, to hang with an old crush who was in the Marine Corps. Funny enough, the mutual friend told my ex that they really should go home because there was no way I believed her. Anyway, after a few hours our mutual friend called, but said she couldn't tell me and passed the phone off to some random girl who said I should call my girlfriend because they saw her in a room with a guy and his pants were down. Long story short, my ex's mom ended up calling and vouching for my ex, and since I knew the mutual friend had a crush on me I stayed with her since I didn't really have proof. Not smart. A few months later I was talking to another mutual friend who was really upset about a guy she liked that I was friends with. While she was talking to me she said, "I just don't know how you're okay with it," to which I asked for more details. Apparently the guy that she liked was always holding hands and cuddling/kissing, sleeping in the same bed as my ex, but they told her that I was okay with it because we were all friends and they weren't having sex. I broke up and never looked back. Years later, while on a deployment, I was with another girl at this time. A buddy of mine went home for leave and noticed some guy driving my car. My car was easily identifiable, so he asked the guy if it was for sale to see what was up. The guy said it was his girlfriend's car, and my buddy remarked it looked like a dude's car, especially with a window sticker I had about shooting bin Laden, before he was killed. The guy confessed that it was his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend's car, but the guy was a total shitbag who was in jail. My buddy then asked if he was sure that the guy, me, wasn't deployed, and he said the guy got really nervous, which told him that he knew about me and was banging my girlfriend anyway. He beat on him a little bit and then drove my car from Georgia to Los Angeles where I had family to take care of it before flying home. I gifted him 10 grand for his troubles, especially since he took time away from his wife and kids. Obviously we broke up, she got knocked up by the guy and he bailed, so she quickly slept with another guy and pinned the pregnancy on him. She got super fat too, and I banged her best friend when I went home on leave because she felt guilty about introducing my ex to the guy she cheated on me.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to comment your opinion about these stories, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new stories.